And in primary school, I did well. In class 7, I went to school with my mom's shoes. I remember the pair very well. It was a pair of high heel boots. And you see how people talk about, oh, it is men who originally wore high heels in the 17th century. Don't go look that far back. I was in high heels in mid-2000s. And I did my best in primary school, and I got a chance after my KCPE examinations to be called to one of the top 3 provincial high schools back then, Govio Boys High School. Yes. In fact, the year that I sat for my KCPE, Govio Boys had performed so well that we had a near 100% transition into university. So being called to Govio Boys means my mom's dream was coming through. She hoped that I'll be the first chance she gets a doctor in the family. I was 1 foot in to becoming a medical doctor. I was on the way. And I believe her mathematics was, when I get to Govio Boys, she was only going to suffer for 4 years. She was going to work so hard for 4 years because after Form 4, if I do well again, the government will take over from there, take me through university, and I'm a doctor. And I remember the sacrifices my parents made for me to step into high school. The amount of money that was required for me to join school, for me to be admitted, doing my mathematics with how much my mom earned, raising half of the money that was required, the half that my parents raised was almost half the year's salary for my mom. So they did their best. The focus was on raising the school fees. Things like pocket money and shopping, those were sideshows. Those were non-issues. Those were, I remember my first pocket money, and I'm not saying this for exaggeration, my first pocket money was 8 shillings. And don't feel sorry for me, the shilling was stronger then. Yes. I remember my box that I carried to school for shopping. I didn't even waste the boarding master's time going through my items. Just to know how little I had, I remembered every item to date. I had 2 rolls of tissue paper, I had a toothpaste, and I had a toothbrush. And now when I look back at it, the boarding master opening my box and closing it, I think that's what lawyers call an open and shut case. From earlier in my life, I could sacrifice anything to get a laugh. And so on admission, my first day in the dormitory, when the Form 4s and Form 3s were coming late from their classes and the preps to be introduced to the new Form 1s who had come, I said, I'm a Black American. Where from America do you come from? I said, Denver, Colorado. And I didn't even know what Denver, Colorado meant. I just said it because I'd heard DJ Afro say it in a movie. Upande wa Denver, Colorado. I couldn't hold the act for too long because 2 things sold me out. For those people who grew up where I grew up, or people who know what Embu is or where Embu is, you know that for the first 15 years of your life, the American English, and sorry to use this word, that we knew was nigger and man. You could say a few things that someone doesn't, and just said man. And I didn't have enough men to sustain a conversation for long. That's the first thing that sold me out. And the next thing that sold me out was the guy sleeping in the next bed was Wampogo. Shout out to him. Wampogo grew up with me in Blue Valley. So when he was seeing this young man chilling in the bed with people surrounding him, listening to nigger man, he was laughing so hard that I had to come out. And as punishment, I was now forced to carry on with the act. So from then on, I was the dormitory entertainer. Every night when they came, I had to stand on the bed, do a poem. And that was my first interaction with freestyle comedy. That was Form 1. When I joined Form 2, I had come to a place where things changed. I was feeling different. I wasn't feeling the vibe of high school at all. I did not want this school, and what I drew inspiration from was, I have a cousin of mine, Mike. Mike is what I would call a self-made man. Mike dropped out of school in class 8. And Mike at this time had a garage of his own, and he had actually managed to scrape together some funds to buy a scrap vehicle that he was putting together over time. Judging by how much it would have taken, probably 40 years. And then I was like, if Mike can buy a car as a class 8 dropout, if I dropped out in Form 2, how much wonders can I do? I would be an elite dropout. And in fact, I think some also of my inspiration came from Wahoo had a song. Wahoo, Mrs. Nameless. She had a song where she was dissing some lady of flossing with her man about being, oh, you're flossing with your man and he's just a Form 2 dropout. For me, I didn't look at it as a diss. I was like, if this man can get a musician's attention as a Form 2 dropout, this is it. I'm good. We had this conversation with my mother. I don't think there's anything in this world that ever broke my mom's heart like my decision not to continue with school. I remember I was at the peak of teenage attitude, and I was like, Mom, I'm not going to that school. She looked at me for a moment, she didn't say anything, and then she dropped to the ground. She was crying facing down. She had given up. She had given up because she was counting on my 4 years, the sacrifices that she had made as a casual laborer at a hospital. It was one of the most thankless jobs when you think about it. And I had let her down. And then she readjusted the goals. Then she took time to talk to me and ask me then, if you don't want the school, let's not discuss the grade. Let's just settle on, just get the certificate. At least you may have a chance to fight later. That was my first 2-year deal with my mom. I went back to school, picking up, dropping, but I went through it. And I think the first person I met coming from school was my mom. And when I put the box down, I said, it is over. And she looked at me and she was like, it's over. It was like Easter for us. What happened at Calvary? It is done. And I took a stroll that same day, and I saw a poster that read, actors needed. I made the call, and I did an audition, I got a part, but still my mom had plans for me. As an elite casual laborer, I had a chance. So she thought she would hook me up with the possibility of having a Form 4 certificate with a job that I could probably earn, say, 15,000, because that was too much money for us back in Embu.